As Democrat officials vow to ignore the court's ruling and their own state laws. To discuss, we welcome former acting U.S. Attorney General Matthew Whitaker. General Whitaker, thank you for being with us.
Good to be with you, Tom.
So many states across the country have said that they will not enforce abortion restrictions despite the state law. The Michigan Attorney General said she would not enforce an abortion ban. The North Carolina, Durham County District Attorney saying she will not prosecute abortion providers if they violate state law. General Whitaker, is it their job to pick and choose which laws to enforce? I'm a little confused here.
Yeah. Well, it's not confusing, actually. Their job in the executive branch is to enforce the laws as they're written. In some of these states, they have old laws dating back over 100 years. And so there is a belief that somehow that is not currently the will of the people. Because remember, the Dobbs opinion, which overturned Roe v. Wade, just said this is a political issue reserved to the states and to the people through their representatives. And so, it's going to be very interesting when these legislatures actually have to vote on what the law in the state of Michigan, for example, is. Is it the law from hundreds of years ago, or is it, some other will of the people? What can't happen, though, is this executive fiat. I think we saw Joe Biden just try to do this yesterday through an executive order. This is reserved to the legislature through the process, and I think it's actually going to be very interesting to see what these elected legislators do once the people explain what they want as the law of their state.
What precedent does it set, though, if attorneys general and district attorneys are able to place their personal beliefs above the law that is passed by the legislature? What can be done about that?
It's terrible precedent, and it's not the way the system is going to work. Ultimately, the voters of those states will have to, or those jurisdictions will have to, vote those folks out that won't enforce the law. I think it's a minor blip in the arc of history on this, but at the same time, we don't have nullification. States and elected officials can't ignore the law, and in this case, Roe v. Wade was completely fabricated 50 years ago almost by the Supreme Court. Is now been put into the dustbin of history, and an issue that is clearly a political issue reserved to the states is now going to be worked out by the people through the representatives. And ultimately, in the near term, there might be some confusion, but long term, I really think this is going to settle out, and people are going to choose life.
I want to switch gears with you here in the minute that I have left with you. More troubling news about the state of policing in America. Police officers are now more likely to die by suicide than on duty. This year alone, more than 64 officers have committed suicide. The Biden administration seems to be throwing money at everything, but the president still has not addressed this issue. Your thoughts?
Well, it's tragic. I mean, obviously, we ask the police to do a lot, including be with our fellow citizens on their worst days. And so it's a very stressful job. And I'm sure without the backing of the elected officials and the politicians who they work for, it is a even more stressful job. And so I just think that statistic that more officers are dying of suicide than in the line of duty is just needs to be reversed. We need to find ways to give them the support and the systems to make sure that if they have this issue come up in their life where they're feel hopeless, that they have not only people to talk to but resources they can lean into to make sure that they can continue to do their job in an honorable way.
And clearly, President Biden again seemed to blame the officers in the Jayland Walker shooting that happened recently. Again, taking the side of the criminal and not of law enforcement. Former acting United States Attorney General Matthew Whitaker, thank you so much for being here, sir.
Good to be with you, Tom.